fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scallion, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. Hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a resort to crime. You can't fool me again.
What fi money in no money, what fi at you in no at you. Covid money miss away in the your little rat you. Use the youth them money waste and bust a man to statue. Say me like a cashew but bigger than a figure you. Take the spint of money galang and say that it's not you. One day the man above end up him a got a bet. Too much it in the kitchen, some a fly well like a patu. When singers and DJs and social media's coming at you.
It burn me.
300% raise.
It burn me.
Garbage pile up the day.
It burn me.
Give the teacher them raise.
It burn me.
I see corruption face.
It burn me.
Mash down the people them house.
It burn me.
Every day appear arms out.
It burn me.
Appear money them a thief.
It burn me.
And them a sell out the beach.
Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scallion, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a resort to crime. You can't fool me again.
For me say big up all the charities and all of the givers. Some a go like say them powerful, me no make a bigger. The urgent the promises, none of them not deliver. Cut up the youth, they rap and they down in our river. Member bold money and they lie them tell. Corruption smell and they pocket them swell. When police don't a market like Satan out of hell, go mash up people start like thief when them sell.
It burn me.
On the treat the market man.
It burn me.
On them a treat the cat man.
It burn me.
On them treat the peanut man.
It burn me.
On them a treat the dirt man.
It burn me.
On them a treat the son man.
It burn me.
How them a treat policeman.
It burn me.
How them a treat soldier man.
It burn me.
How them a treat everyone.
Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scallion, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't.
Can you hear me now, please? Can anyone hear me? Can you give me a sound check? Can anyone hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Seems as if I'm going out now. I have no idea what is going on here. The system keeps telling me my browser is disconnected from the mic. But while I was not being heard, I want to start all over again. I want to say good evening to everyone here and thank you for joining us. Welcome to People's Point of View. This evening, we mainly come here to have a rant on the Prime Minister. But before I go off on the Prime Minister, I want to say we should all remember Mr. Rattigan took a civil action against Kamina Johnson-Smith in relation to her disclosure of the donations during her time going up for the Secretary General for the Commonwealth, which we all know she was unsuccessful in. The Supreme Court has ruled that Mr. Rattigan has no standing to bring the claim. I myself have not yet had access to the judgment to see the reason the court gave that for saying Mr. Rattigan has no standing. But on that, I want to say I am hoping that Mr. Rattigan will be going for an appeal in this matter, because we should not always trust what comes out of one court or the first thing that comes out of a first instance civil action. So let's see if Mr. Rattigan is going to take an appeal in this. Continuing on the Johnson-Smith lady, we see where Lisa Hanna is calling for her resignation with regard to the Gaza vote, which she apparently probably have run under the table like Cliff Hughes. When the time come to vote, even though she's saying that it was Jamaica who drafted the argument put forward at the General Assembly, and Jamaica's position was cleared, what was clear on the matter, but yet Jamaica representative did not vote, or the representative for CARICOM, because they were representing, Jamaica is the chair for CARICOM, and they're representing 15 countries. My understanding, this wasn't the position of CARICOM. The position CARICOM had is to vote for ceasefire and humanitarian relief. So she went under the table at the time of the vote in order to protect their friends for whatever reason, where I will come back to that a bit later. But I want to say to Mark Golden, lead from the front. Lead from the front. On issue like this, Mr. Golden, you should have been out there from the day after the vote at the UN, calling for the resignation of Johnson-Smith and an explanation from the Prime Minister in Parliament. Us as a country who've been through all of what we've been through with the West, to see Jamaica on the world stage, hugging up and loving up apartheid, it's not really a good look for the state Jamaica. We all know that the people of Jamaica does not support the barbarity. But lead from front, Mr. Golden. You should have been out on this issue the very day after they did the after they did not vote. You should have been out calling for resignation. You shouldn't have to be peeping from behind Lisa Hanna at this point. Whenever the wholeness regime throw you a bone, Mr. Golden, pick it up and run with it. As it drop off of the press, pick it up and run with it. You have a habit of, when things like this comes up, you give it days and weeks and you let the public ramble and everybody ramble before we see Mr. Golden come forcefully as the opposition, which as this Prime Minister and his cahoots open their mouth, Mr. Golden should be down their throat, educating the people, informing the people, standing up for the people. You know what I mean? But Mr. Golden have a way of letting the flame of these issues die. Then he comes out behind somebody. Lead from front, Mr. Golden. Lead from front. That's all I want to say about you at the moment. Lead from front. But we see where the murder is escalating on our island. Last Friday, a 6-year-old, the 42-year-old grandmother, and a 34-year-old man was killed in St. Andrew. On Monday evening, 2 primary school children and a man was murdered in St. James. We see in St. James, probably in, I'm not quite sure at the moment as I don't understand the geography. I don't know if it's Horace Chang constituency, but even if it's not his constituency, it's within his neck of the wood. Horace Chang is the National Security Advisor for Jamaica, who is always sleeping. But the Prime Minister said enough is enough. And that triggers me. The reason why it triggers me, when people say enough is enough, it means you're ready to do something about it. You have a plan to do something about it because you say enough is enough. But why now, Mr. Wholeness, after 7 years, after your plan say, we there go open with doors and window, we there go sleep with the door and window open, when you see so you never achieve it, we see you got church, go cry, about dead baby and all of them something there. And you coming out and you're saying enough is enough, but you still has not furnished the nation with a crime plan. Halfway through your second term, you have not furnished the nation with a crime plan. And you are saying enough is enough. What are your plans? If it's gone that far, what are your plans to curb the crime situation in Jamaica? But what I want to tell you, Mr. Wholeness, is what enough is enough of. Enough is enough of a national security minister who has always, majority of the time, been sleeping in parliament, never have much to say, have not put a crime plan in place. His constituency is one of the worst in Jamaica when it comes to do with crime. WikiLeaks documents shows that U.S. cable from U.S. Embassy to State Department is saying the National Security Advisor for Jamaica is involved in gangs and crime. And that's the man you have at the helm of crime. Remember when you had your last cabinet reshuffle, you blatantly told the nation, "We're not stuck with this because nobody else don't want that position here." So whether him a perform or whether I'm good for the job or not, we're not stuck with this because nobody else don't want it. Why is it that nobody else wants that post? Is it that you're not investing in that area, or too much corruption is in that area, so nobody wants to take that job because they know that it is going to be a nightmare of battles between different entities? Another thing that we have enough of, Prime Minister, is a police commissioner who doesn't always seem to be quite able to string few sentences properly together. A police commissioner, Prime Minister, who is military trained, who doesn't understand the street. Now you have a ranking file of police across our nation, and there was no one in the police hierarchy that you could have put in that position. Yet you take somebody from the military who hasn't got experience in policing, who's not trained in policing, who doesn't understand the street because his training is in combativeness, which is not what police is if your policing is by consent. So we are fed up of all of these people that should be fighting crime. You have inadequate, incompetent people within that position, but still you're coming out to say enough is enough. And of the three of you, to date, has not put forth a crime plan after about 7 years in government, has not put forth a crime plan. Another thing we have enough of, Prime Minister, is the IC investigation we're going to hide from. We have enough of the hiding and the scheming and the lying. We need the report to be tabled, and we need the names of the people who are under IC investigation. We don't want none of them on the campaign trail if we don't know what their murky dealings are, if they are being investigated for illicit enrichment or whatever. So we tired of you not doing your job. The IC report, it need to be tabled in Parliament. We need to hear. So when you come out and play on our emotions, say enough is enough. The next thing you go and come talk about, you go bring legislation for this and you go bring legislation for that, because I say I'll reach it soon, I can do it over here. All I know, when we're not ready for look vote, on a promise with shining crime fighting mechanism that has not come to fruition from anyone else. We are so tired, Prime Minister, of your asset where IC can verify. We hear your talk, so you're concerned. You're concerned as to why your asset not verified. But Prime Minister, if you had followed the proper protocols, submit all the necessaries that shows your asset, then there would be no reason for IC to be unable to verify, to certify your 2021 and 2022 filing. Those are still not been certified, Prime Minister. It means the amount of things where you declare, it cannot be supported by your income. It outweigh your income, Prime Minister. This is the problem, in my understanding. This is why it cannot be verified, because you can't show where X or Y come from. Other than that, if you could have submitted all the necessaries that show where that money or whatever asset or whatever comes from, then there'll be absolutely no problem in IC verifying those assets, nor would you have a concern as to why IC cannot verify them. It is upon you to provide the evidence to verify your asset, Prime Minister. Because, was it 2022, you came out and told us that your asset is 192 million? I'm still confused by that, because to date, I don't know if it's 192 million JD or 192 million USD. If it's JD, Prime Minister, then that's a huge, huge call for concern, because if you throw that up against the price of your house, then we have a lot of questions to ask. We are tired of you not coming forth with a crime plan. Zozo and state of emergency are not crime-fighting mechanism. Zozo and state of emergencies, these are mechanisms that should be used for particular reason. Say, for instance, state of emergency is when something really serious happens that you would implement a state of emergency, such as disaster and so on. If it's riot, if there's rioting, then you could implement a state of emergency for that period. But to use it as a crime-fighting mechanism, Zozo, you have always said that Zozo show to be effective. No, it does not, because what that does is just push criminal elements from one area to the next. And then it also, as soon as you think that you have that area under control and you withdraw, the same old flares up again. So it's proven time and time over that these crime fighting mechanisms are unconstitutional. There are civil rulings that shows that they're unconstitutional. So we are yet to see, other than the Zozo and the state of emergency, we are yet to see a crime fighting plan from the government. It's a blunder. And for you to come up with these rhetoric now, all because I believe you're going into an election whenever. So you're going to come up with new crime rhetoric to fool the people. The people are waking up. You cannot continue to fool them. Another thing we are fed up of is the corruption in your government and in your cabinet. If you want to deal with crime, Prime Minister, you have to do it top down. Until crime is dealt with in our parliament and in our crime fighting agencies such as the office of the DPP, the police force and the JDF, which you're using as proxy police, until corruption is dealt with within those areas, corruption at the bottom will remain. Corruption in Jamaica will have to be a top-down cleaning, Mr. Holness. So while we have a lot of legislation and books in Jamaica to fight crime, the issue we are having is a matter of investigation and implementation of statutes. We have enough laws on the book to fight crime and fight it rigorously. There's an issue with investigation, implementation, and application of the law in Jamaica, because we say Parla is confused by Section 5 and Section 45. So these are where some of the problems are, where the police are not well trained in investigative techniques. Sometimes them don't have the tools to do it, because if you go around most police stations in Jamaica, you still are going to see that big old dirty black book where them write everybody business in it. In 2023, can somebody let me know if that black book still that guard room? So there's a lot of little things that you need to deal with when it comes to fighting crime, rather than want to spun rhetoric and later on call for legislation. You need to equip the police more. You need to technologize all police stations across the country. You need to update the way in which you collect evidence and statements for allegations. You can't just write everything in a big black book. You need a computerized system where you have a design bespoke witness statement, where you have everything individually rather than everything in a one book. Come on, this is the day of data protection, where we need to protect people's data. So you need to have a computerized system through the police force in Jamaica when it comes to investigation and taking evidence and compiling a case. We're also tired of the corruption in the police force. Mainly, in a lot of us view, is because they are inadequately paid and badly treated. So a lot of them get involved in corrupt practices to build up them salary. Not right, but the government is forcing them into such, given the task that they're given to do. We are so tired of your dictatorial regime, Mr. Holness, because we see for the last 2 years, especially since you win the September 2020 election, you become a full-fledged dictator. You were the only one government across the world, probably you, Israel, and Australia. Wonder why Israel suck up together. So you, Israel, and Australia have some stringent, and Canada too, have some stringent little nasty rule when it come to do with COVID. But you never want people to pass the wire fence. If you come off of the veranda, your stay at home, turn your yard there, it's a problem. We see where you round up people, you send for people under bed because them tell you terror. You know what I mean? So we're tired of your dictatorship. These are the little things why our country keep running down, because we have a government and a cabinet which is highly and heavily involved in crime, corruption, and nepotism, and to no ends. Even when our parliament create a system to keep our parliamentarians in check, our parliamentarians still gag the IC to the point where 6 of them under investigation for illicit enrichment, and the Prime Minister putting wife at the head of Parliament to make sure that that report don't come out, is the Prime Minister and his wife being investigated. It's about time, Prime Minister, that the nation have a statement on this issue. This is of grave importance to the nation. We cannot go to the poll or continue to have corrupt politicians carried out the administrative affairs of our government. So we fed up our whole heap of things that you're going on with Prime Minister. Absolutely fed up. So when you come out and you say enough is enough, what are you going to do? When people jump up and say enough is enough, them have a plan to do something about the situation. What are you going to do? What are you going to do, Prime Minister? And I want to ask you further before I slip off into Gaza because I'm not going to stay very long, because this week is my late week. I'm finished work 10 o'clock. I'm very tired, but like and share up the live, people. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for staying with me and listening thus far. Like up the live and share and help me to get this message further out there. But I want to ask the Prime Minister, is the state of Israel dangling a carrot at you, or are they waving a big stick? Is the state of Israel dangling a carrot at you, or are they waving a big stick at you? Because this situation is getting out of hand in Palestine. Jamaica woefully and disgracefully threw cold water over the children of Palestine. But I would even say cold water, petrol. Because Israel lack of water upon them, water would have been of help. Throw petrol by hiding under the table like Cliff Hughes when it comes to time to vote on the issue of humanitarian relief and ceasefire. Why is Jamaica continuously sucking up to Israel? I asked this question the other night because when it was with regards to the Temple Mount vote, Jamaica hid away, did not turn up for that vote as well, Temple Mount is a religious site in that region where the Jews, the Muslim, and the Christian claim entitlement to that holy site. And the vote, I think it was in UNESCO, was to ignore Israel's claim to Temple Mount. And Jamaica stayed away from that. The biggest issue, the biggest humanitarian issue we've ever seen in our modern generation is the current Gaza issue. And Jamaica has acted disgracefully as descendant of enslaved people, as descendant of colonized people, as descendant of apartheid. Jamaica has acted disgracefully by hiding under the table and say, if Israel want one, make Israel one. Because in an issue like this is given the green light. The issue of Israel and Palestine is either you're with Palestine or you're against Palestine. There is no gray area here where you stand up on this chalk line and say, you know me, I watch and see what I want. No, it's not like that. This is a humanitarian issue. This is an issue where one of the most sophisticated military in the world is fighting children. 50% of the Gaza population are children. Who is Benjamin Netanyahu fighting? 50% of Gazans are children. Who is Benjamin Netanyahu fighting? And then our disgraceful government, not government, our disgraceful administrator hide away from standing tall on a human rights issue. What does Israel have over you? Is Israel dangling a carrot, or are they waving a stick? Or do you have to do what America says? Do you have to approve the murder of babies, Mr. Holness, like Biden and Netanyahu? When Jamaicans went out to march the other day, Jamaicans also need to demand a statement from the Prime Minister in Parliament clarifying the country's issue on the issue of Palestine. We cannot let him get away with this grave misrepresentation of the nation, because it's a misrepresentation of us. Because we all know that 99.9% of Jamaica would not agree with what the barbarity, the criminality, and the genocide, the apartheid that Israel is carrying out at the moment. But yet still, our government does not show a public position, because our government, the representative of our state, hid away from voting at the General Assembly. There's calls for Kamina Johnson-Simitt to resign based on their shoddy actions. And rather they're standing in Parliament defending the barbarity that they have defended. Benjamin Netanyahu is a dictator. Can you all see where Holness is going and why Holness is behaving the way he does? Be careful when your government hugs up with dictators. And I see the Jamaica papers, them a follow suit. Hold on there, because this irritates me too. There's a Gleaner article. Israel to take overall security responsibility of Gaza. Misleading, Gleaner. Very, very misleading. Israel to take overall security responsibility of Gaza. No, not so. That's not what the headline should be. The headline should be Israel is going to occupy Gaza. This is what these media hosts does by misleading us. When you say Israel to take over, to take overall security responsibility of Gaza, it looks like a something good them are going to do. No, Israel is going to further occupy and enforce an apartheid state in Gaza. That's what your headline should be, Jamaica Gleaner. But the whole arm stuck on the head up the ass of the Western hegemon of what America is. So if on a head stuck halfway up America, how dare you speak about baby killing Netanyahu and baby killing Joe Biden? But now hold on, I got me mad. I really do hope Trump win the 2024 election. During the 4 years of Trump's presidency, we have not had these type of wars because Trump was not interested in what other country do in their country and how they operate their foreign policy. Most of Trump's aggressive foreign policy was around economics. But unlike Biden, if you notice, since Biden is fighting 2 wars, and he still has more to go. He has started a war with Russia by encroaching, keep pushing Ukraine to join NATO, which he will not allow Jamaica to have a security pact with China or Russia because America is going to say, not in my backyard. But yet still he wants to put his missile in Russia's backyard. Biden, rather than doing everything to get humanitarian relief into Gaza, Biden sent warships, plane, and more money for Israel, for the state of Israel, the Zionist state, and Benjamin Netanyahu to continue to murder the children of Gaza. 50% of the Gazan population are children. Who is Benjamin Netanyahu fighting? Benjamin Netanyahu said Hamas is living underground in tunnels. Who is Benjamin Netanyahu fighting? If this is not a plan to flatten Gaza, to take more land from the Palestinians and occupy Gaza indefinitely, why would they be going so all out and to have no human feeling of saying, at least let's give a 6-hour or a 24-hour or a 12-hour humanitarian relief to bring food, water, and medicine in, which is critical to what's going on. Genocide and apartheid in 2023. And these same people are saying America is the world's leading democracy. America is a peace-loving country. But the truth be told, America, Europe, and NATO and peace and love must not be spoken in the same sentence. They have not shown love to the world. The West has not shown love to the world. There's not another nation or a group of people on this earth that has not faced the wrath of the West. And to see a country like Jamaica sucking up to Benjamin Netanyahu and Biden for whatever reason, to the point that they cannot say, this is barbarity, this is criminality, this is genocide, this is war crime, this is human rights abuse. This is the most disgraceful government we've ever had. Mr. Holness, I would ask you to resign, but dictators do not resign. That's the problem. I would ask you to resign, Mr. Holness, but dictators do not resign. And this is the problem our country is having, because you've made sure you have ring fence yourself. You even make sure you have a corrupt DPP in place. So if anything should comes out of the IC report, I have my DPP there who the prosecutorial box stops with her, then she will say there is no case to answer because of X, Y, or whatever. Because remember, Paula Llewellyn claimed she have witness statement from a lady across the cell that saw Nzinga yanking out her locks, them one, yank. And nobody took Nzinga to the hospital to have a medical assessment. And none of Nzinga hair root her scalp never tear out her not, but Nzinga just managed to sit down there and just yank out her locks, them one. So because she couldn't pop the whole bunch, she would have to yank them out one. And none of no Carraga hospital, and there was nothing wrong with her scalp. So we are tired of a corrupt government. We've had enough. Enough is enough, Prime Minister, of a corrupt government, a corrupt police force, a corrupt Department of Public Prosecution, a corrupt civil services. Enough is enough, Prime Minister. Enough of the nepotism. We cannot have the business of the country being handled by one family. Wherever you see a family takeover of government, you are in a full-fledged dictatorship. There is no going or coming. Wherever you see a family regime in government, you are in full-fledged dictatorship. Have you ever wondered why our Prime Minister is so kosher with Benjamin Netanyahu? This is the third time that Benjamin Netanyahu has become the Prime Minister for Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu has an agenda to destroy Palestine, especially Gaza, because them already have the West Bank under occupation. You ever wonder why your Prime Minister is so hugged up with the world's biggest and most murderous dictator? Jamaicans, open your eyes. Open your eyes. What are the security enhancements that the Jamaican government is getting from the Israeli state? Is the Israeli state arming the Jamaican government? Remember, say everybody want to suppress we, because them know Jamaican people are people who not stay quiet for too long. So everybody wants to suppress we. What is the relationship between Andrew Michael Holness and Benjamin Netanyahu? We cannot have the Prime Minister of a country who has been through enslavement, apartheid, neo-colonization, colonization, and a fake independence, hugged up with the world's biggest criminal. a criminal who in the last few weeks has murdered over 5,000 children. A murderous dictator who is fighting a population, an unarmed population of children. 50% of the Gazan population are children. Who is Benjamin Netanyahu fighting in Gaza? Benjamin Netanyahu said this war won't be over until Hamas is no more. Is Benjamin Netanyahu planning to slaughter all the children and young men in particular in Gaza? Because you're not fighting with Hamas at the moment. What you're doing is collective punishment. All right, Hamas gone under the ground and left Uno up here. All right, then. We will take it to Uno. Who is Israel fighting? Because them say Hamas in a tunnel. And you have flattened probably about 2/3 of Gaza already. You have killed over 5,000 children. You've killed thousands of women, innocent women and men. There is a particular video will come out of Israel when nearly kill me with here. Because this is why I can't come live on Facebook, because I post it on Facebook and them strike me, I can't do live on Facebook. I post it on Twitter, them strike me, not Twitter, but the other one name, TikTok, them strike me there so as well. A video came out of Israel the other day, which was one of the coldest and gravest war crime and human rights abuse we've seen, where the IDF round up young Gazan men, have an open grave with tire in it. Then probably I go block me if it say this, but me I go say it. Leading them to the edge of the grave, to the grave one by one, pushing them off in and shooting them with the intent to light that mass grave with them tires after. And none of these Western media are showing it. None of these Zionists who own social media want us to show it. But I'm speaking about it because it nearly mad me when they say the coldness that is going on. All of these media people don't want the world to see it. None of these, even though everybody know that war crime, genocide, human rights abuse is unfolding as we speak. Western media look for almost a year until this war started in Palestine. They're nearly mad way over Ukraine. But Zelensky, where are you? Me no see you run up and down in your dirty sweat up t-shirt around parliaments all across the world, asking for more money and bomb to murder your people. Because you know your people was going to come out on the worst side of the warrior. When you allowed Joe Biden to push you up in a Russia face, knowing that it was your country that was going to be wrecked. You don't see America find a new baby, Zelensky. America don't really attack about the West. Zelensky don't really attack about you anymore. The West have a new baby. The West have its Middle East interests to protect. Biden said if there wasn't an Israel, America would have to create an Israel in the Middle East to protect her interests. Do you now understand why Biden is making sure Netanyahu murder the young generation of Palestine, particularly them young men? But the world must not stand for this. Whatever we can do, we must. We must speak out. We must demonstrate. We must do everything. We must donate whatever we can do to support Gaza at the moment. We should. Because you know what? All of us are Gazans. Because at some point, all of us across this globe, you just have to look back at the reign of Queen Victoria, the tyrant. All of us, as people on this planet, has faced brutality from the barbarians of the West, since World War I, since World War II. This pack of colonizers has been led by the wolf, America. But for the last 75 years, I'm winding down at the moment. For the last 75 years, Israel has been carrying out brutality on the Palestinian people. A defenseless people without weapon. A people who Western governments, a people who are permitted in international law as people who are living under occupation and apartheid. International law permits them to resist occupation by any means necessary, even by picking up arms to resist occupation. And Western governments brand them as the T word, thinking that that can demonize the entire population of Palestine people, or that us in the West and in the global South would have listened to them and not support the Palestine people because you have branded the government of Gaza as a T organization. But there is a day coming when Israel is going to have to fight a real war. Because Israel, the state of Israel, has never fought a war. What it has continued doing for the last 75 years, it's brutal barbarity and through an apartheid regime. But there is going to come a day when the state of Israel is going to have to fight a real war, because they have never done so yet. What they have been doing is continuous brutality, heavy-handedness, excessive force, and disproportionate in their actions. But the swamp that our parliament is, we need to start draining that swamp. We cannot allow our government to support murderous criminal in public, in our name. It is not in Andrew Holness's name, you know, or in Kamina Johnson's name. It is in our name. When they didn't vote at the General Assembly, the inference it gives to the world out there is that the state of Jamaica and its people give two hoots about human rights abuse, war crime, genocide, and most importantly, the children of Palestine. But I want to say to you this evening before I go, let us stand up for justice, brotherhood, and peace. The pack that America leads, the Western pack of colonizers that America leads, they will never seek for peace in this world. But there are more people in this world that desire peace than the barbarians who desire to continue with brutality. I want to thank you all for being here this evening. I really appreciate your support. And as I said, let us stand with Gaza. Let our voices be heard. We should never be silent on an issue like this, because the wrath of the West and Israel can attack any country at any time, bar the ones who are nuclear capable. America, the tyrant, the barbarian, will encroach on any other country that haven't got the proper defense capability to protect themselves. We should never, under any circumstances, support the act of criminality and barbarity. Thank you very much for staying with me this evening. This was the People's Point of View. I am Wayne. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on Friday.